Greetings and salutations, one and all greetings and salutations, and welcome back to another episode of Fabian Seh. Excited to be here as always as I take this journey into hosting the owner show. It's been a lifelong dream and it's happening. And I'm really excited about today. But before I go into why I'm excited about today's episode is I have to check in. What go on in these COVID-19 times? How's everybody doing? Um, you know, One of the things I've learned is let's be gentle with ourselves. If your feet pop down, be pop down. There's no perfection. There's no, oh, I have to do this. Some days you just need to lay down for half of the day or the whole day. Do that. And when you're up and awesome and things are great, then so be it. And, take the necessary precautions, our social and physical distancing, masking, all these good things. But we're going to get through this. Maybe about September, things might slowly start to crawl back to normal. So yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I'm not the Minister of Health, but I want to big up yourself, Minister Tufton. Do your thing, dude. Do your thing. But why I'm excited today, extra excited, I'm interviewing my first power couple who are also people who I love and admire individually. One of them I've known way longer than the other. And they're the first couple that has said yes, and I'm calling them a power couple. So my special guests today are Noelle Kerr and Kurt Wright. Greetings and salutations to both of you. I'm so excited. So Fabian Seh is a laid back thing, interview, get to know you, have fun, and then we play a game at the end of the episode. And you get
the game.
Yes, you get to choose a game. So I think you have 4 or 5 options, and you pick which one you want to do, and then we'll do it, and that's how we'll end it. No, it's like I'm putting on my mask from now. So Noelle Kerr.
Hi.
Goody. JMTC. From Goody to Phantom of the Opera, which is the last production you did with them, right?
Yes.
So starting with Noelle's acting background, her performing arts heritage. Tell us about your parents.
Well, my parents actually met through the theatre.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mother was an actor and my father still acts. And so when both children came out saying we're going to be actors, they were not surprised. My mother was in stuff like Old Story Time with Leonie Forbes and Carl Binger and Charles Tyler.
Yes.
My dad went from pantomime to Shakespeare to, I think he did tracks. Yes, he did tracks at one point.
Yes. And he was also involved with JMTC.
Yes, he came into JMTC because first my older sister was in and then I joined.
Right.
And then he kind of, the supportive father.
Mm-hmm.
There were moments where we were doing plays and with JMTC there were certain roles that adults had to fill and my father was like, I got you.
Yes.
So he came on board as actor, as set designer.
Yes.
He did some phenomenal sets.
Did he write Goody?
Yes, Goody was in JMTC.
He did?
Goody was in JMTC. Goody
was
when my sister, he wrote it long before we were born, I believe.
Right.
And then he restaged it with my sister's 6th grade class.
A
graduation project. So that's how I got to be in Goody because, I'm her sister, so I get to be in the play.
There you go.
I'm not in 6th grade with her.
How would you describe your theater career as actress? What has it been like for you? What has that journey been like?
Well, I started in musical theater. And did that for many years. As you said, Phantom was my last show, and I think it was my last musical. No, I did one musical when I moved back.
Right.
I did Into the Woods when I first came back. So that was
yes.
my last. But then I started doing straight plays. Got to work with the Center Stage crew and got to work with Fabian a million trillion times. Challenged me phenomenally. And then Fabian set me the challenge of being funny. In a production we were doing together, and lo and behold, I found out I was funny and actually really thoroughly enjoy doing comedic work now, so much so that sometimes I choose it over the drama. there's a challenge and a nuance to it that I genuinely didn't think I had the range for. And Fabian, Kurt, they both pushed me to recognize that the range is there. You just have to look for it and don't decide saying that it ain't.
Nice. And so schooling. So you went to school where?
So I started school at prep school at Hillel. I did like a pre prep school with Mrs. Coury.
Okay.
Because it was a little wild picnic running all over the place. So I did that. Then I went to Hillel. Then I went to Immaculate High School. Then I left Jamaica for 2 years and went to an international college in New Mexico.
Right.
Got my international baccalaureate there.
Right.
Then I moved to England for about 4 years.
Right.
I was going to go to drama school. Their local education authority disagreed with me because they decided I hadn't been there long enough to get the resident rates, which is what one needs to afford drama school in England. And then I just kind of decided I was just ready to take the next step in my life. And I didn't want to wait the extra additional time to start moving forward again. So in the space of about a month, I think, I got my application into Caramac, study media and communications. So I moved back because I thought if I could understand behind the camera more, it would be stronger in front of it.
So you go from stage, small screen, then you segue into voiceover work, on-camera hosting, and now you're functioning mostly off stage and some in front of camera work as you're working on projects. But your life has pretty much been an artistic media journey, pretty much, that you haven't done anything else.
I have been incredibly lucky that except for a short stint in London when I managed in a bookstore, which was delightful to me anyway because I got discounts on books and I love to read. So it was joyous anyway.
Nice.
Except for that, I've always been connected to this field in some form. I've been incredibly lucky.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, sir.
How you do?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here with you.
Indeed.
I feel like I'm outside. I shaved my head. I even showered just so I'd smell good in my own home for an interview with you. Yeah. So
these COVID-19 things. Kurt, when did you realize that you were a storyteller?
When did I personally realize, or when did people tell me I chat too much?
So tell me both. When did you first start hearing it, and then when did you realize and own that you are a storyteller?
As a child in St. Peter and Paul, I was told that I should grow up to either be a comedian or a lawyer because I chat too much when I heard it. I was about 7, and I didn't think I got the full implication of what my teachers were telling me. But the thing is that I went to college and I did interdisciplinary studies. That was just fancy college speak for I don't know what I want to do with life. And what I was drawn to was I liked the idea of doing movie special effects. I always said I wanted a guy who blew up the spaceship. I don't think that I necessarily thought of myself as a person who was writing the story or creating the entire world. I just thought it would be cool to just blow some stuff up on a computer and create it, and that's right. But then one day someone put a camera into my hand, and I was doing, this camera course just as a what do you call it, like a one-off. It wasn't like as an elective. It wasn't I was really studying towards, but I needed a couple extra credits, took selected, they put a camera into my hand, and I just jumped ship on my poor 3D animation teacher who told me I had such promise, and I never looked back. And the camera course led to a writing course, led to a, what I mean? So it turned into just one thing after another.
Right.
By the time I was done, I was graduating from school with a BFA in communication arts. So it was film, TV, and radio. And kind of just never really, nothing against it, but I never really took to the radio aspect of it. I like visual media more than anything else. So yeah.
So let's go the other direction with you. So your degree was where? Which institution?
I went to the New York Institute of Technology.
Okay, and then before that you were?
Before that, I was a proud rebellious student of Jamaica College.
Okay, and before JC you were?
an even more rebellious student of Campion College, which I try not to think about too much.
And before Campion?
Before Campion was St. Peter and Paul, which was probably the best, the single best moment of my life. Looking back at it now, that bulk of my life, yeah.
So you've been AD in 6 feature-length productions?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And including commercials and music videos?
Yeah, well, I came back to Jamaica in 2004, and basically I think within 6 months, maybe a little bit more than that, I ran into Ras Casa on the road and introduced myself. I got a phone call that week, and he was shooting a music video for Richie Spice, the Youths Are So Cool, I think it was. And I came in as his AD, not a PA, nothing. Casa just threw me right into the deep end of the pool.
Wow.
As Casa does. And for about 7, maybe 8 years, he was pretty much like a mentor to me. He's still a very good friend. And we worked together closely. He was directing, I was ADing. We worked on stuff for MTV all the way over in Trinidad, things like that. So, I mean, that was actually one of the first feature films that I got to be an AD on, because we did a project in Jamaica that was a feature film called Good As Gal, that I don't think Casa even wants anybody talking about, but we did it. And MTV liked it so much because the whole thing was about the stereotype of HIV and how it affects people and that sort of thing. And I believe originally they wanted a couple of short films, and Casa had this idea of, rather than doing a couple of short films, why not do one proper, feature-length movie surrounding these different characters.
Right.
I enjoyed the process. It was crazy. It was chaotic. It was a lot of fun.
What's the first thing you put on the hat of director for?
A short film called Joe that I did when I had relatively just come back to Jamaica. I think I was back for maybe about 2, maybe 3 years at the most. I really don't even think it was that long. But
was that about 2010? Was that 2010 around then?
No, Joe would have been about 2006, 2007.
Okay.
But it was just a short film about a Jamaican boy, emphasis on Jamaican white boy who came back from college and essentially came home to find out that his mother had, found a new boyfriend and had flown out to the island, and he's now fresh out of college and has to learn how to live on his own in the interesting situation of being pimped out by one of his former schoolmates from...
Okay then. All right.
So, yeah.
Okay. I want to see this film.
It's still floating around somewhere on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
Really? I must do some research and find this.
Yeah.
And then what followed that? What came after that?
Man, it was a lot of AD work after that, because I think that Joe, as much as I was working as a PA mostly, I was ADing for Casa, but for everybody else, I was working as a PA and kind of just making my way up the ladder.
And for folks who don't know, tell them what a PA is.
Slave labor. PA stands for production assistant on set.
Right.
Like basically, PAs are essentially, the truth is that they're essentially the backbone of any production.
Indeed.
But they are also the lowest rung of the production ladder. So you're doing everything from handing out water and doing up paperwork and, cleaning stuff up after people and, like helping the ADs out.
So Noelle,
making the perfect cup of coffee.
So Noelle, in terms of a comparison to theatre, the PA is below the rungs to the stage manager.
Yes.
Oh dear, way lower. Yeah, it's like
he's the stage hand that just joined the team.
Okay then. And yet is the backbone.
Yeah.
Okay. You had your film shown and screened in places Canada, England, Africa.
Yes, yeah. Well, the thing is that after Origins, and this is years after we entered, Noelle and I by now had started working together. We actually met due to an audition process for Joe after I did the short, because the plan was to attempt to turn it into a TV series. So at the end of the day, Noelle was one of the people that I had met during that audition, and I was really taken aback by her talent. And I said to myself, no, I need to. You know what? I'll send you a check later. But
and this is really interesting because you give me a lovely segue into my first question in the Kurt and Noelle segment was where you met. So it was an audition for Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What is that like? What is the dynamic of working together?
It's a good one. No, I mean, the reality is I stepped up to producing through his encouragement. Because he was like, you've been doing it so long, you're essentially producing now. It's just that you haven't taken that final jump to actually put the title behind your name. And I said, okay, you know what, you're right. I'm gonna put my big boy pants on and I'm gonna produce. And so when I started producing, he kind of around the same time picked up the director's hat again, and we started doing music videos and commercial work. Which then took us into, Origins, doing the short film Origins through Propeller, and our own short films that we did independently prior to that, just working together and needing to create our own work.
You don't have to brace myself and not scream when you said Origins, right?
I was very sneaky about it. I wanted to start directing and I needed a producer. And she was around all the time anyway. The reality is though that Noelle is very good at whatever she puts her in. And that's
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And you've known her long enough to know that.
Yes. To watch her on set setting up things. There's one time I'll never forget. Me, the sound man, and the cameraman were standing at the gate talking, and Noelle's going back and forth. She's packing up her car, and then we're standing right by the igloo, and Noelle comes, hikes up her pants and goes, and the sound guy, right. I think it was Sergeant, said, we could have carried that fee, And she says, no, I've got this, I'm okay. He's like, no, the chair we cast that up here, and you are, but that's who Noelle is. She's just like, there's stuff to be done. Boom, and she does it.
She does the same thing at the supermarket with groceries, by the way.
I can imagine, yeah.
I had to start stealing them before she could get to them. I don't look like the booker who had my
right
to the car.
And then Kurt, I met you with, was it season 2 of Miami Crew?
Miami Crew, yes.
That you directed.
Mr. Weather.
And I was so struck by, first of all, your comfort, but your preparation. Like, you so knew what you wanted to shoot, but you were, for me, you're an actor's director, because you met all of us who had major roles individually.
Yeah.
And you had a conversation about our concept, what was in our head, what was in your head, and then, but you also said that you said, like for me, you said, I know you're used to a lot of stage work. So when I ask you to dial it down or do it smaller, it's just the reality that the camera is right in your face. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'd ever done a film project where a director took the time to articulate on that level. But then also on set, you were just so accommodating, in charge, but not a bully, but smart, but also really funny and out of order and have no behavior and all these things. And I thought, this guy is...
I try very hard at all of those things.
But it was such a pleasure working with you, because it was always such respect and clarity. And you check with us, were we okay? How did that feel? And I remember something when you changed the script, you'd say, okay, so I know I'd said this. Here's what I'm thinking. Then you'd say, do you need some time to process that? And I thought, wow, there was such grace with your talent that I was blown away, and I was like, this dude is the real deal. so that's part of why I'm so excited to be here. And then Origins, look, can we talk? Can I have a fanboy moment about the first? Okay, because the second one don't bust it. But I remember because Kurt, what I love is Kurt is like, and those people who write know this. And I used to go through this with Aston Cook when he was alive, and other writers that I know, that you need that circle of people you can send them to that to and say, are you up?
Yep.
And say, okay, so on. That kind of work, does that make sense? I remember Kurt, he said, so do you think people would be offended if we took like some national heroes and mythical people and did a different, and I said, no man, go for it. He said, okay, cool. I remember like a couple weeks ago, he said, so I'm thinking, there's a box, there's some artifacts. And then you say, what do you know about Annie Palmer? But I love that because people sometimes don't understand that birthing process, that creative, that sometimes stays with you for months, 6 months, a year, and you fine tune. So when I sat and watched the first treatment, the first thing you did of Origins, me ball. Because I said, I know this from, it was in Kurt's head. And then you and Noelle used to call me and say, we're talking about so and so. And so we went online and saw so and so. Is this story accurate? And when I watched it, not only because of the journey, but what struck me is that I knew that there's moments in your life you see and watch something and you know you're watching something that's great and going to change the landscape. This Jamaican story, Jamaican mythology, Jamaican characters, our culture, I had not seen anything like it in years. And it wasn't we're begging you to take a look. It was we are first class status, storytelling, treatment. Sorry folks, I'm gonna blow it for some people, but when the spider jumps over Anansi's shoulder, I shouted at the screen. I was like, ah! I lost my mind. What are the projects you're working on? What's in the future for you post COVID-19?
Post whenever that ends up being, hopefully sooner than later. Right now, Origins was always meant to be a stepping stone, like a platform to do something bigger within that world. Mm-hmm. I've always said that I really, really appreciate the reaction that Origins has gotten. For the easiest way to sum it up for people who have no idea what we're talking about is basically just think Three Finger Jack versus Annie Palmer. Mm-hmm. If a party goes, who is Three Finger Jack? You're a terrible Jamaican. And
go on Google.
And that's also a big part of the reason why we wanted to do Origins in the first place, because I feel that a large part of our heritage is being lost. Yep. And it's one of the reasons why we wanted to put as many of our historical and mythological figures in there as we possibly could. So Three Finger Jack is teaming up with Annie Palmer, is teaming up with Nanny to fight against Annie Palmer and Kwashi and Dr. Hutchinson, and that was the original thing. Yeah. Since then, we were lucky enough that the Ministry of Culture gave us a small grant towards producing a pilot for Origins, and then it was suggested that we apply for a grant from DBJ through the Branson Center. Mm-hmm. We ended up winning the grant, and so as a result we put those two things together, every mickle make a muckle, and we ended up filming a full-length pilot, as in over an hour-long pilot for Origins last year. We filmed Origins, barely had a second to breathe, had to go into this very small minor shoot called James Bond that it's just a minor curve that took us away from that for a bit. 2 months of our lives. But the thing is that Origins now, luckily, the one good thing about this whole thing with COVID is that we have finished the physical shooting part, the production part of Origins. The edit is being refined now. We basically have had an edit for a while, but I am in the process of sort of sharpening it up, trimming it down to what I know that it needs to be at the end of the day, what my vision for it is. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that right now we're very close to the final edit, but the final edit, meaning literally the edit. So sound still needs to be mixed and mastered, color still needs to be done. We just sat down with Seretse Small to talk about music the past weekend. He's been working up for us.
It's been an amazing
journey. It's been an amazing journey with Seretse. Man, when you talk about us on Me and My Crew, Seretse is amazing. Like, he wants to know who is the character, what sort of person.
Seretse is brilliant.
What is the...
Seretse is brilliant.
Man, he wants to know everything about the characters. He's like, Seretse, I want to know where was he coming from when he walked into the room.
Seretse is the real deal. He really is.
Yeah.
Here's one thing that really frightens me. You see, our youth, they know nothing. But other aspects of popular culture are sometimes foreign because they're seeing there's movies, there's video games, there's all this stuff. So like, I'm particularly excited now that Sprinter on Netflix is huge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that some Jamaicans, they saw it on Netflix, they didn't see it in the cinema. So talk to me about that for a minute. As people who are movers and shakers in this field, what's going on? How would you assess the Jamaican landscape of film and television now? How things stay? What are going on?
People like Storm Salter, Rob Mailer, that whole Sprinter team, I think that they're doing some really fantastic stuff because, one thing that I think people aren't giving Sprinter enough credit for, it's one thing to say Sprinter's on Netflix, but the fact that my best friend in Canada can watch Sprinter, my friends in the United States can watch Sprinter, and people in Jamaica, people forget that Netflix is divided up.
Yes.
Or, you usually have a check with your friend, like, okay, let me see if it's on your Netflix, because it might not be mine. This and what they have done in being able to now watch Sprinter in North America, and wherever else, in the Caribbean, and what I'm getting that sort of a reach is absolutely fantastic, because at the end of the day, Sprinter is not just a Jamaican film, it's a good film. And, it's a sort of thing that, it shows that we are capable of a certain level. The reality for me is that it's because of things like Storm's former project, Better Must Come. When I hear say Better Must Come was finished, and I see I never see Better Must Come for about another 7 years.
Yeah.
And I just coming out of school, I used to think to myself, how the hell it can possibly take
so long?
10 years for... I get it now. I get it now.
Yeah.
You have to consider the fact that we've been working on Origins for 3 years now. And we have not... in terms of entering Propeller, winning, doing a whole short film, everything, it's already been 3 years.
Yeah.
Every time the John Canoe are on screen, that is a special effect. Every time, there's so much stuff involved in the story now. And having to fill that time. And I mean, the performances, oh my God, like the performances by the people. People like Chris Daly. Yeah. I am so excited for people to see Johnny's performance, and I purposely call him Johnny because everybody know him as this comedian who make people laugh. Until it's like Kwashi.
Yeah.
Kwashi is serious. Like Kwashi is not Johnny.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about because we know Jamaica, we're small and the industry is small, we know each other, that when we see the productions and the products, we know the people, and a lot of we know their journey. So there's an added thing for us when we see and kind of go, oh, as you said, Chris was a kid in high school, Lime Tree Lane, that we watch him grow, and now he's a big, bad, self-producing comedian who's hosting things, but also has stayed true to his actor work. I've directed Chris, and Chris is also he's the real deal. Chris does the work. He asks questions. He don't mark things. When I direct Chris, you see the character in rehearsal, because he said he also needs to feel it. You know, some actors tell you, oh, them work. I said, but when we never see it though, we need to see it as a director. But Chris comes and he gives you full out, and then you kind of go, whoa! And it's an exciting thing, and the landscape. Like the short film and the independent production landscape for me is incredibly exciting. Gabrielle and Saeed and that team, the films, I mean, and the different stories being told is so important for us, because you tend to get stuck on the Jamaican story, the gangsters and the drugs, or as you said, the tourist board ad. Look at the pretty white teeth and the sunshine. And there's so many other stories.
Don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of that in Origins too, because the reality is when you are shooting for an overseas audience to get their attention, you want those lush landscapes and stuff, you know what I mean? But just that, I feel like I credit the JAFTA's Propeller program with so much, because we were one set of the winners in the very first year with the original Origins. But even within that first year, all of us filmmakers who had won the top 5, we sort of made a pact that I will take credit for, because I started it, and I said, I don't want to know what no film is about. I just want to sit down in a cinema with all of you and just watch it. I just want to see what Adrian Lopez, who runs Liquid Light and is always doing commercials, I want to see what Adrian Lopez does when somebody just gives him money, free time, they want to do, go. Janet Morrison, Michelle Serrier, all of these people, I just wanted to see what my fellow creatives could do when somebody said to them, let your imagination just go. And I was so happy to see that Sugar was so completely different from
Oh, and I love Sugar.
From Adrian's film was so completely, you know what I mean? And like it showed in that first year so many different aspects of Jamaica, Jamaican stories.
Yes. Was it? It was Niles and not Storm who did the. Is it called Fever? The one with the
Fever Dream.
What a beautiful picture! What a beautiful, and very different kind of Jamaican storytelling. But it was absolutely. It was artsy. It was gritty. It was lovely. And I thought, even for young people and young artists to be exposed to different ways of telling a story. And finding your own voice and style.
In many ways, I think, I feel comfortable saying that. I feel like JAFTA Propeller is doing for short film work.
Yes.
What Storm is doing for Jamaican film.
Yes.
Pushing and trying to take it to that next level, because ever since Propeller came into being, not just the films that win, but the people that have been inspired to pursue their own.
Yes.
You know, like,
and I can put up my hand. I submitted 2 treatments.
Yep.
Exactly.
I'd never done a treatment. Like 2 short plays I've done before, and I said, It also made me. So I'm now a legitimate JAFTA member.
Yep.
Come pay my money, and they emailed me the card. You know, we can't collect the card yet. But I enjoyed the process. I called Amber, sat with Anna, and I asked some people, give me something. What is a treatment? How do you do a treatment? What does that mean? And I enjoyed that process, that experience. For Kurt and Noelle now, what has been or is your favorite or most memorable production you've worked on?
Together, because I don't think mine, unfortunately, Noelle wasn't done.
Oh no, so it can be together or not.
Wow, that's a hard one. Honestly, I think for me, in terms of just the overall experience of it, Bond. Because I think with Bond 25, I got to work in a department I've never worked in before and show that I could. I got to work with, and I affirm to my dying breath, I had the best team on the Bond set. Transport department.
The AD team would disagree with you, man. The ADs would disagree.
Everybody always came to visit our little office and hang out with us.
Because they had candy in the mini fridge. That's really all it was.
I just my 2 bosses from Ireland and Marlon McIntyre, who was my local boss, like just the best bosses. And working with a team of people who hardest I've worked, but the least stressed I've ever been.
But for me, no, I think my favorite project was working on Yardi, was ADing for Idris Elba on Yardi.
Okay, right.
Because it was a really, first of all, Idris is just like amazing and just down to earth, incredibly humble. He's just like a really, really cool guy. But because of the fact that it was his first film that he was directing,
right,
his directorial debut, being able to watch him and John Conroy, who was the DOP, on Yardi, they had such an amazing connection together that Idris as a director and then John and the 2 of them would just have a conversation, and the conversation happened once. They went their separate ways, and John just gave Idris what he needed, and Idris conveyed to John what he wanted, and there was just this incredible flow.
Right.
On the set. But then it was also a set that was just really fun. Like it was really, really just fun to work on. That as Noah said, just a lot of hard work. Like, it was probably the hardest I've ever worked, including Bond. Like it was one day carrying some equipment up a 75-degree hill that I will never forget in my life. But at the end of the day, there was something about the fact that Idris also went out of his way to hire Jamaican actors.
Yes.
And people like Sheldon Shepherd, people like Chantal Jackson, people like Everald Prairie.
Yeah.
I got to see my friends represent Jamaica.
Yes. Which of your productions is your baby?
Origins.
Origins. I figured as much.
Origins in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Origins is the project that I think we've both poured our heart and souls into the most. And I feel like it's reflected in the work.
I genuinely believe that Origins is the best and worst thing I've ever done in my life, or done with my life, because seeing it come together and come to life has been amazing.
Yeah.
But man, when you talk about blood, sweat, and tears, like on a real, I had no gray hair. This is not even a joke. I had no gray hair. Like now I'm shaving. I used to shave my head for the hell of it. Now I'm shaving my head to cut off gray hair. Because after Origins, boy, like it started showing up. But
that journey, that labor. So after Origins, do you have something that you're moving on to?
Well, Noelle just wrote some stuff that I am actually quite proud of seeing.
Yes, and that was in the top 5.
And it's
top 10.
It's made it into
top 10. Top 10. Yes.
So we have.
I'm speaking into being.
Yes. You know what? Top 5. Top 5.
I mean, commercially, we still because we are a team, but we also work separately.
Right.
So we have that stuff going on still.
Which I want to emphasize. Like people don't seem to realize that as much as we do our own productions together, yes, Noelle is my preferred producer.
Right.
That doesn't mean if Noelle is not available, I'm not going to ask nobody else to produce.
Yes.
It does not mean that someone else cannot call Noelle to go produce for them. I'm not
right.
I took the journey of writing the treatment, which
Even it's good. It's
I'm
good.
unfamiliar with, but got to writing the treatment thanks to him looking it over and Deanne looking it over, and got through to the top 10. Stressed the bejesus out of myself doing the script because I'd never written a screenplay before.
First time.
Like a screenplay where there was more than one person talking.
Someone's a big fan of monologues.
I'm a big fan of monologues.
Yes, new things. And for those who don't know, she casually mentioned Deanne is Deanne Allgroup, who happens to be her best friend. Who's also an amazing actress. Deanne knows everything.
Yeah.
Deanne knows a little bit of everything. You can literally call Deanne up about a health thing. She said, well, if you really want the character to be having palpitations in their right aorta, they have to twitch like this. She's also an amazing producer, writer, good stuff. All right, so last question before the game. In an ideal world, if somebody say, tell us how much money you want to make something, what would it be?
Well, yeah, because I mean, in terms of just even the stuff that we're working on now, I think because of COVID, I think a lot of people have seen it as, I agree with the thought process, don't pressure yourself into feeling like you have to get everything done. But the reality is, I think every creative, especially people who write, have had ideas sitting down from God knows when.
Look here,
I've just picked up 2 of those ideas. And one of them is like a sort of a big bombastic sci-fi film in the vein of like the original Alien franchise that I've just decided I'm just going for it, man. Like I already had all the notes written and everything, but I'm writing it now as a feature to make sure that when COVID is over and done with, I will have something, to show for it. And the other one is sort of like just as big. I keep describing them as like, I don't give up scripts because I just, as you said, I don't care about the budget. I'm not writing it for Jamaica. I wasn't even writing it necessarily directly myself. I just wanted to get this out in the system because I feel the need to tell this story. And the other one is this big sprawling fantasy story based in a world that is not Earth and this, that, and the other, and very, very Lord of the Rings-esque and with magic and this, that, and the other, and other, So yeah, that.
And then I'll act in both of them because that would be my dream, to get roles in both of them.
Right.
Voice a figure that doesn't have a face. I'm doing 2 roles in one movie. I'm just saying.
Have we spoken to the director about this yet?
In the ideal world. All right. So are we ready for the game?
Probably not. But let's go.
You actually have five options. So option 1 is Jamaican trivia. Option 2 is, let me ask you something, which is just some casual questions about your life and experiences. Then there's Mix Up and Blender, which is not so delicate questions about your life and things you've done.
Okay, because I have isolation brain, I don't want to go with rapid fire because I don't know how rapid I'll fire. So
the first people to choose Mix Up and Blender. Here we go. First question is, have you ever shoplifted?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Question 2
I'm surprised
is...
that's your answer.
What?
Question 2 is, do you recall at what age you lost your virginity?
Yes.
Oh, you do? And do you want to share?
Later than I was planning on.
I know it said no, you don't want to share. Okay.
I know when it was.
Oh, you know what it was? Okay. 3. What are your feelings on infidelity, on people who cheat on their partner?
I think that people are human, but at the same time, I think every situation is different.
Okay.
You know, I try not to judge that too quickly, but it's something that I would hope people don't do.
Yeah, for me, it's something that I'd hope you don't do. For me, I think it's a sign of a bigger problem. I don't think it's ever really about the infidelity. It's what led to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whether a lack of communication or, like there's something that needed to be addressed. And unfortunately, you took that route.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that happens when you feel like something's lacking, whether you want to.
Number 4, what was the last lie you told?
I'm a really terrible liar, so like you're gonna have to give me a moment. Like
that is true.
I actually I don't lie because I feel like everybody knows I'm lying.
Oh, okay.
So because I feel like I just get quite nervous looking and awkward.
Kurt, you remember your last lie?
I'm coming to bed in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because I have not slept since yesterday, so.
All right.
There you go.
Is there a villain that you like?
Thanos, he was right.
Who? What?
Thanos, he was right.
Thanos. Okay.
Humans are a virus.
No.
We all know
Harlequin.
Harlequin for me because she's me.
He's a riot. Is there a hero that you dislike?
Oh.
It's a Harlequin. Okay. As proof. Is there a hero, somebody else that other people tend to like that you don't like?
I'm not a huge Superman fan.
Okay.
I think he's overpowered. I think they make up his skills as he goes along.
Noelle?
I think what's his face? Cyclops.
Cyclops.
You don't like
I
him?
don't like him because I feel like he's a little bit holier than thou, and I feel like he could check himself well then.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Okay.
Cyclops?
What is the worst childhood prank you ever pulled?
Oh, right, yeah. So there was this teacher at Campion. And the art block was upstairs, and she was downstairs, and I was in the art block with a ice cream thing of water for your painting and your thinking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow the ice cream pail ended up right on the window ledge.
Somehow.
As she was walking under it. And
Somehow.
I unfortunately sneezed at the exact moment that she was walking.
He was walking by
the window.
Yeah, okay.
And I had cleaned at least a dozen brushes in said ice cream bowl of various colored paint. She may have also been wearing a white shirt, but that's different.
Hope your mother isn't watching this.
Accidental pranks count, right? Accidental pranks? Because I sneezed.
So Noelle, and you?
I'm really super boring and I didn't pull pranks.
No, you didn't? Okay. All right. So the last one I'm going to do is not necessarily a mix-up and blender, but since you are a couple, what would you say are each other's love language or love languages? And they say it's words of affirmation, gift giving, acts of service, quality time, and physical touch. So Noelle, what would you say are Kurt's love? So for Noelle, it's gift giving.
Gift giving.
Giving of gifts.
I disagree.
When I say gift giving, I don't mean, well, you will just randomly buy something like I thought of you, but I also mean if I wake up in the morning and I haven't gotten into the kitchen to cook breakfast within the first 5 seconds of being awake, I'm being offered food. So there's a giving
So she's doubling, so it's giving and acts of service. Okay.
Well, yeah, there's a caring,
Right.
nurturing aspect to Noelle.
Weirdly for me, because like I mean, I guess maybe I could argue that it's him towards me,
Right.
but like I do feel like I do it with him too. But there's a lot of times where the word isn't necessary, especially like on set.
Right.
Because for us, what's incredibly important for us is that work is work, home is
right.
And
Yes.
like I could do something wrong on set and Kurt cuss me out, or vice versa. And when we get home, that was it.
Yes.
As the producer and director were mad at each other,
Right.
not Noelle and Kurt.
Right.
But there are times where I am on set and I feel like he sends it my way more than I send it his way. But it does happen where literally just even almost subconsciously there's a moment where that happens. Because you needed that moment, and then it kind of propels you to keep moving forward.
Maybe, yeah. And a lot of times, maybe like, yes, maybe there are those times. There are definitely those times where you need that moment. But I think there's also points where it's 3/4 way through the day, and we're very professional when we're on set. Like Noelle is not my girlfriend as far as I'm concerned, and vice versa.
Right.
For very, very many years, people didn't even know.
And we didn't tell people either, because there's this bias. It becomes this inherent bias that it's like, well, you're only working with no. But when you've gone through 3/4 way through the day and you have not been boyfriend and girlfriend, there is that moment of just in passing, just a little.
Yes.
And gone again.
Nice.
And it's just this acknowledgement of each other.
Nice. Yay. And it's so interesting because as you said, a lot of time, for a long time, people didn't know, and some people still don't, so they'll know when they watch this. But somebody who did, when they found out, they said to me, you know Noelle and Kurt, right? I said, yeah, they're my peoples. And they said, but Kurt kind of rough. Kurt ramp rough, and Noelle is so sweet. What an unusual couple. I said, but it works. They make it work. I said, that's what being a couple is. They're like, Kurt seemed harsh to me. I'm like, he's really not, Kurt Wright and Noelle Kerr. I have thoroughly enjoyed every minute of this process.
I'm taken aback by the opening that you've made me do, but thank you.
Lovely. I wish you guys all the best. You're two of my favorite people. I'm so excited that you're working together and in the world, making art and doing your thing. I wish you all the best. I'm a serious cheerleader. And I love getting, when you pick my brain and we share that space. It's really, really beautiful. So big up on yourself.
Continue to pick your brain.
Definitely.
Yeah, no problem. Oh yes, last thing, just shameless plug. Since you do some work with Romain Virgo, tell him to answer my email asking to do an interview with Fabian Seh. Tell Romain say even people them need to check the email and answer to me about a request for an interview.
I will gladly call in people then. I hope they're watching this so I can steer at them.
Indeed.
Will Smith. I will gladly call in people then.
Yeah.
But thank you both so much. Thank you both so much,
Fabian, for wanting to interview us, and I'm so happy that you're doing this. A long time coming, because
long time.
You're just one of the most perfect people I can think of to be in this space of getting people to share.
Thank you, please. Blessings, love, and light. Peace out. This has been another episode of Fabian Seh. This one with power couple Kurt Wright and Noelle Kerr. Take care of yourself. Love and light.